Fan, short for fanatic, is the one who's screaming their lungs out in sub-0 degree temperatures, still believing when the chips are down, and never, ever giving up on their teams or their players. From the closest seat to the worst one, we want to meet you all. This is the American Fan.
What's going on, sports fans? It's your boy Josh Williams back again with another episode of the American Fan 365 podcast. I am unfortunately not joined by the front row, Rosine, today. Ro is getting a DMP rest.
DMP.
She's getting a
load management, brother.
She's getting a denub. But I do have the grizzlied man in the back, Mr. George Carmona. George, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling electric. I had a show this morning, Gridiron Junkies. Check it out if you love just football news. I don't cover all the sports like the American Fan, but I am a half American fan.
Yes.
Half of me's Cuban.
You're part of the tripod. You know what I mean? You take
tripod.
You take a leg off, and the whole thing falls down. So we do appreciate you being here. But George, I am a little upset with you.
Oh,
and
okay.
I will tell you why.
All right, let's hear
So
this.
you asked me how I was doing when I came in. I said, yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. So after Monday's episode, shout out to those of you that watched on Monday. After Monday's episode, Ro and I, we're wrapping up. We're getting ready to walk out. I cracked the door, and it hits me. I'm sitting here like, oh no, that's Lisa Ann. Wait a minute. The porn star was in studio. No one said a word, and I just was like I literally came around the corner, and I was like, oh, Lisa, and she was like, hey, hi, and I was like, so this is happening.
Wow.
All right.
Good to meet you.
Not I am not. I've never been to AVN. Have you ever been to AVN, George?
No, but it sounds fun.
Okay. So I have. This is as risque as I get on this show. So I have dated a porn star before in my life.
Sick.
But I will say that she is a legit, there's levels to porn stars, and she's definitely on tier 1. And she was really sweet. I actually Googled her. I didn't realize she was 50. Did you know she's 50?
Lisa Ann did not look a day over 40.
Shoot, she looked like she's in her 30s, and I didn't realize she was 50. But then I also didn't realize she was a huge sports fan. So shout out to Lisa Ann.
That was the thing that threw me through a loop, because I was just as surprised as you, and I want you to know, okay, as upset as you are with me, I was told probably 10 minutes before she showed up.
Fair, okay.
Because she's one of those guests, I can respect the host of the show not wanting all the the guys just to be, oh yeah, all of a sudden I have work to do at Sticky Paws today.
I fell apart. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So I got a ticket going home.
No.
Yes, bro. I'm trying to tell you I was out of sorts. I said I was mad. I haven't had a ticket in literal years. It's probably been 6 years, and I drive fast all the time. And yeah, I got a ticket going 30 over. So
right here on Sunset?
No. I didn't want to cut someone off getting onto the 215. So I was like, I'll just go down to Warm Springs. I go down to Warm Springs, biker cop.
Dude, it's always the bike cops. The bike cops stay getting us.
He was nice though. He was nice.
Was he hiding? Because those are when
well, he was hiding, but I was out of sorts, and I just didn't see him. And the second I saw him, I was like, yeah, we're going 60. It's a 35.
Going 60. Damn, Josh.
I'm not going to be able to talk my way out of this one. So
you just be like, Officer Lisa Ann, George didn't tell me. Sir, you have to understand.
What I told him was, I was like, sir, I apologize. I'm just out of sorts. This is literally what I said. And, but I gave him all my information. It was probably the quickest ticket I've ever gotten. I was up out of there in 8 minutes. So for tickets, for me as a black man, that was as comfortable an exchange as I could have. So.
Yeah, as a black man, I would imagine it's not recommended to say, sorry, officer, I'm out of sorts. He was like, are you high, boy?
No. He could tell, because I've had enough cop friends that like I know the protocol, and I've been pulled over at least 150 times.
Jesus.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When I was your age, oh, it was bad, bro. So here, I'll before we get into the show, because you know what I mean, we got time to fill. So no, when I first started driving, when I was in college, my car, you know what I mean, I had a kitted up, souped up car, but my speedometer was like really, really off. Like, and so it was like, you know what I mean? Like if it said I was going 65, I was really going 75, 78. And then like it continued up from that trek.
Yeah.
So like I used to drive 112 everywhere because I knew the second you pulled me over, like I'm not going to run, I'll stop. And because my car was crazy flashy, like it had paint job, all this other stuff. So I would just take it to court. I would show them my calibration for my speedometer, and then they would just throw it out and say I had faulty equipment. I'd pick up no point. I'd pay $35 plus the $35 in court costs, and I'd walk out and I'd go about my day. I was so reckless as a young person. Like I used to drive on the shoulder. Like I literally, so from Hampton, right? This is still a story my friend from college tells. Me and him made it from Hampton, Virginia to Charlotte, North Carolina in like 2 hours. 2 hours, like 20 minutes. And that's like a 300, 400 mile ride.
Oh my God.
I was moving because I had to get to Jerome's game. So it was like, we're late.
What game was that?
Well, Pistons. No, it wasn't Pistons. That would have been, probably was like Bulls, Hornets. I feel like. Yeah,
okay.
Probably Bulls, Hornets. So, yeah.
You tried to make all the games on the East Coast?
Oh, no. In college, by the time I got to college, I stopped going because I was in college. So I probably would only make it, you know, I would make it to games during spring break. I would make it to games during winter break. But the rest of the year, I didn't really go, which probably in retrospect was a missed opportunity because I didn't know when Jerome was going to retire. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think about that now with my brothers. I mean, you would definitely try to watch, right? Like, without a doubt, you were moving plans to watch.
I watched as many games as I could. Now, remember, I'm in college, so this was before like Sunday Ticket and all that other stuff. So you kind of were like at the mercy of where you were at. And Jerome would go from being on good teams to being on bad teams. So when I was in college, I missed a lot of games. I read I was on every box score. Every box score because I probably talked to him after every game.
Dude, that's like my favorite feeling, like being a brother. Like when my brother plays at San Jose State, I mean, that's that day after phone call where you're just like, so your coach, it's 4th and 1, and we're deciding to run a shotgun. You know,
shotgun 15-yard route,
right? You're like, it's 4th and 1, bro. You're the left tackle. I know there's nothing you can do about it, but what the hell is this?
So this is okay. So I want you to. This is my thing, and I'm sure you probably feel the same, especially as a coach. If it's 4th and 2 or less, and we don't feel like we can 2 yards or 1 yard running the ball, we don't deserve to win the game.
It's football, ladies. I mean, the Eagles proved it this year that like you need that, right? You need a 4th and 1, 4th and 2 play. All these college teams that line up in shotgun, it's as
habitually,
dude. No. It's like as soon as I see them break the huddle, I'm like, all right, get the defense ready. We're off the field.
1,000%. But all right, let's go ahead and we can go ahead and hop into the show a little bit. So to start off, you know, we got to report some sad news yesterday. Hall of Fame center Willis Reed passed away at the age of 80. Willis, from my time at the Hall of Fame, loved him, was such a great guy, but we don't really talk of Willis Reed a lot in the same breath as a lot of the all-time great centers. But Willis Reed gave your favorite center buckets in his day. Go ahead and roll that footage, George. That's a young Kareem. Got Kareem again. Uh-oh, we got Wilt out here. Wilt up. Kareem was having a rough time early on in the Lou Alcindor days. Just giving that man buckets. Up and under. Yeah, so that's Willis Reed. Shout out to Willis Reed. Great life, great ambassador for the NBA, great ambassador for the game of basketball. Going down just a quick list of his accolades: 2-time NBA champion alongside Walt, Clyd, Frasier, Dave Debusschere, Earl the Pearl Monroe, Bill Bradley, and a missing tooth, Phil Jackson. 7-time All-Star. Probably his best overall season was the 68-69 campaign, where he had 21.1 points a game, 14.5 rebounds per game, averaged a little over 2 assists a game on 52% from the field while playing in all 82 games. So, legend. Simple and plain, absolute legend. Probably best known for, obviously, too, coming out, on that badly sprained ankle in Game 7 versus the Lakers to win the championship. Started the game, the Garden was electric, gets the first 2 buckets. Yeah, that was all the points he needed in the game. He didn't score no more. He was hurt, but he definitely. When I actually asked him about that years back. And he was saying it was really all about just uplifting the team, because the team, when they felt as if he was going to be able to play or he would play, that, just the whole morale of the team lifted so much. And, I mean, he was right. It carried him to a championship. He only had 4 points, but we still remember that as if he had 60.
Right, right. And that's a lost art in the NBA these days. Especially with how much scoring has, evolved.
Sure.
And, I mean, like you said, he still got buckets, but that is the part of basketball that I feel, and Josh, maybe you can attest to it, it's going to come back, right? Like, right now it's flashy to have a high-paced offense, but there's going to be defensive dog stud teams that are filled with like hustle type players like he was.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope the game gets back to I don't know if it'll ever get back to big men dominating. I would love to see, it, or even if it's not a full-fledged, the whole league, but just like the Golden State Warriors have transformed how we shoot, how we run sets for shooters and different things. I would love to see a team with like just a dominant big, similar to what the Grizzlies did in their grindhouse era with Zach Randolph and Mark Gasol. I would love to see a team, feature just a beast of a big man where it's like, so what you gonna do? Mm-hmm. We talked about that before with Shaq, and I would love to see it.
Yeah, it's a controlling of pace, and I think right now it's everyone's like a F1 car, right? They're just like, phew, we just got to put up as many different opportunities for points as we can.
What about the Dodge? I need a Dodge.
Yeah, geez, can we get an F1? Can a brother get an F-150 in here? Like, I
break out the Ford. We need a
Raptor, man.
That's too funny. James Wiseman goes off last night for 22 and 13. I said it before, versus the Miami Heat. I've said it before. I will say it again. Golden State is really, really going to regret moving that young brother. Really. Especially for the bag of chips that they got. They got 3 2s for the year that he came out. He was one of the top 4 players. You know what I mean? He was thought to be the best player in the draft.
Out of Kansas?
No. He went to Memphis. Because remember, he was in a lot of that Penny Hardaway sketchiness situations. So, you know what I mean? But yeah, the Warriors had a chance to really reset their roster and be the new Spurs. Like, I feel like the Warriors, especially with Steve Kerr coming under Popovich, they really could have made a run here for a 15, 20-year burst of just winning championships repeatedly, not necessarily every year, but they're always there. Oh, no, he's rocking Jerome's jersey?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. Oh, come on, George. I didn't know that.
Dude, I didn't know.
Oh, I haven't seen. Yeah, Jerome was 13.
Oh my God. In the old school
And
Pistons. Wait, hold on. Is that a part of the jersey contest?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Damn, that's a tough one to beat.
Yeah, that's Gabby, my niece. That's Jerome's daughter that has the jersey.
Smart. She's smart.
She stuck it close to home. She did what she had to do.
Yeah, no, dude. Okay, but back to you were just about to say the Spurs. I think it's an excellent comparison. But you weren't certain of it, and that's the thing that the Warriors I feel are going to regret. Is that dynasties have to buy into young talent eventually.
Yes.
And they've yet to do that in my eyes. And they're still living off of what is still an amazing trio of players. But who else is like showing out for them? I know they got Gary Payton
the second, yes.
Right?
Yeah, and that's essentially that was essentially what that trade did, because they got the 3-2s back from the Wiseman deal, and they immediately turned those over to Portland for Gary Payton II. So they did get a big piece back, essentially, from their championship core, but you're basically running it out to, say, all right, well, these next 3 years, this is our last of our window, I would say, especially as the players begin to really break down. Jordan Poole and James Wiseman and Kuminga, like, you had another trio ready.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that's basically my feeling on it.
Yeah, and Poole, I guess, is that guy that I was missing there. And Kuminga, that's their young stud. But I like Wiseman's potential. Now, I do remember his first year in the league, but this is the thing that throws me off with these kids. They're so young. Like, you just don't know their age anymore. You're like, I think 21. You could buy a beer.
Yeah, he's probably, if he's 22, that's me being as friendly as I can be and him being an old high school player. Because he's not, he shouldn't be more than, I'd say, 22.
James Wiseman is 21.
Told you. When's his birthday?
March 31st.
See? He's about to be 22. He hadn't even been able to buy a beer for a full year yet. You understand what I'm saying? So to give up on a child that young in his career, when he had that kind of a ceiling, and then he showed flashes in Golden State where it was like 16 points off the bench. Okay, James Wiseman, but then he would get hurt. And so then it was like, how long are we going to wait for him to be healthy? I'm like, you wait as long as it takes.
Do you not see what's going on with Zion?
Yeah,
you wait as long as humanly possible.
You wait. Now, but see, and the other thing too is you wait because that child isn't necessarily going to demand a huge contract. So
100%.
You know what I'm saying? So like when it's time, so maybe you wait 4 years and you have to start getting into the restricted free agent stuff and all that kind of stuff. Start doing qualifying offers. He wouldn't get a whole lot of money. It's James Wiseman. Like, he hadn't done anything.
Yeah, and like you, it's just not the same. And all the agents and the owners know that they're dealing with a kid that has never really had money before. You know what I mean? Or not that level of money. Yeah. So at any point, they don't need that crazy big contract. Now, out of all the bigs that I see coming up in the league, like this prototype is almost built for long rebounds. You know what I mean? That's the one thing with a high efficiency offense. You're getting a lot more longer rebounds. The floor is a little more stretched out. So like the bigs sometimes are a little too slow reaction wise, but James Wiseman was like, that for you.
Yeah. He's a, I would say he's probably a more athletic, but not as good at footwork as Joel Embiid.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, in terms of if that's his ceiling, that's a heck of a ceiling. Like, that's an MVP level ceiling.
Correct.
So if that's what you have as a ceiling, man, you don't give up on that. I don't care what's going on. You don't give up on that.
And he knows his role. He doesn't shoot too many threes.
Yeah, no, not at all.
He knows
not at all.
Role.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. Anyway. Paul George last night hyperextended his right knee in a 1-point loss to the OKC Thunder. Are the Clippers done for the year if Paul George doesn't come back?
Without a doubt, this is it's the linchpin. And Paul George, ever since the leg injury playing the USA basketball game here at Thomas and Mack,
Never was the same.
Never, ever, ever was the same. Now, and the thing was, though, like, he was a superstar right before then. And so I think we're all holding him to that caliber.
Yeah.
And I think at moments in time, when I watch the Clippers, I'm seeing it forced. You know what I mean? Like, I do feel like Kawhi is the ball-dominant leader of the team, and he needs to have the ball at least 8 seconds of possession.
Yeah.
And I think Paul George, I mean, the way I would utilize him is like a Morris brother. You know what I mean? A spot-up shooter that can take somebody off the dribble occasionally, but a really good defender. And I think his offensive load was too much, and it led to
it could, yeah. That, I mean, yeah. It definitely could be. And I'll say, what I will say about the Clippers is this: Kawhi did it with less.
Right.
I will say he has done it with less, and if this kind of forces him to put the cape back on, because I feel like he hasn't had to put the cape on in 3 years.
Yeah, but what more of an exciting player to put the cape on? Because I never watched Jordan, okay?
Yeah.
But when I look at highlight tapes, it's the exact prototype. And I would say, like, he doesn't even, because a lot of the people that I would say maybe mix into the prototype would also say, well, then that's like Kobe style too. But I really see a difference in play. Kawhi is way more of an attacker, finding his spot mid-range. And I'm getting like Jordan vibes when he's like coming back after playing baseball, and now he's like,
he's got a baseball body.
I gotta prove myself again.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. You know, I feel like the Clippers still have enough. They still got Zubats. They still have Russell Westbrook. So we'll see. We'll see what they end up doing.
Do you really feel that good about Zubac?
Yeah. I mean, look, he in terms of centers in the league, he's an old school center that allows them to play a certain style. But he's a great defender, great rebounder, and can give you 15. In today's game, you don't really ask your center to do more than that. If he's very, very fun, he's high functioning. Mm-hmm. He has a very low floor, not that high of a ceiling, but he's very good in his role. I'll say that.
Okay. I needed that from you. I trust your basketball opinion. Here's the play, by the way, where he extended.
Yeah.
His knee last.
Oh man.
Oh, that's it.
Now that said, on that video, I will say that when I went to the injury report on ESPN today, he's only day-to-day. So it might have just been one of those bad knee buckles that when you watch, like I do that literally tripping down the steps. So, right. I mean, he might be all right.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just that hyperextension. Yeah, and you just know he's going to be on. We won't see him till the playoffs.
I don't know. Look. They're fighting for their lives, man. They're only 2 games ahead of the play-in, so you don't want to just be playing games.
Man, really?
Yeah. Well, you know the West. The West is always going to be really, really tight. They're the 5 seed right now. They're the 5th seed. So they're only. I saw they're only 2 games ahead of. I forget who's number 7.
I got you.
But yeah. So we'll see. I will say last night in that game, Paul George did have the best highlight I've seen him have in a Clipper uniform. Did you see the 360? Oh, it was nice. I will say, before the injury took place, that was probably the best Paul George highlight I've seen in really probably since he was in Indiana, since before the injury. Here it is. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. I can't. You can't take that away.
You know it's. What I always feel is, especially like when players have like a crazy play like this, you always see injuries to follow. Like, no, and it's because they're so loose and confident in themselves in the game, and they're like, oh, everything's going my way. And then that one thing that you're not fully paying attention for, it sucks. But no, that's a all right highlight. I mean, it was coming down the lane.
Hey, look. We don't get the sexy dunks anymore. Not sexy dunks. I get, you get the high flying 1 hand, 2 hand.
True.
But a 360 gorilla back scratcher, that's nice. And he was kind of in semi-traffic
Yeah, no,
Now,
that's the part that like
this wasn't a fast break.
Yeah, that's
like
the part
this was
that makes
flow of the game.
That's the part that makes it cool.
Yeah,
that defender just scoured, bro. Like he as the help side defense was coming, he said, "Is this man not facing me right now? Like, is his back facing the crowd?" I said, "I'm out."
Oh my goodness. One thing I did not realize was actually that Lonzo Ball's career might be at risk, and it might actually be over. He had his third operation on the same knee and what is being called a cartilage transplant. So yeah, like they're saying, and basically this is to give him a chance to come back in the future. Not even like, oh, it's a timeline of 8 months, 9 months, a chance. So this is actually really serious.
Yeah, I liked his style, man. Talk about the Lakers. I feel missing
a lot of dudes.
Dude, it was the father that had put that unwarranted bullshit on him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I hated Lonzo
player.
Ball. I hated Lonzo Ball simply because of LeVar.
100%.
You know what I mean?
But then you watch him play and you're like, damn, he hustled. Like me as a basketball fan, he loved the game so much that he was laying his body on the line and he was very smart. So to me, I'm like, okay, I as much as I hate the dad, like he's still balls, bro.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was one of those same thing where he's an 18-year-old kid. He played 1 year at UCLA.
1000%. Those big baller brand shoes. What I will say, well, no, because I wasn't a big baller apparently. But what I will say, and I tell this to people all the time, when you go outside of Nike and you start going to these like second-rate companies, like remember big baller brand shoes, those are really just a Chinese prototype. Right. They weren't, you know what I mean? And so when you go to these shoes, especially being a player in the NBA where the shoes literally are the beginning, because when you start talking about actually your body and how a body breaks down is, Derrick Rose, same thing, bad shoes in Adidas. You know what I mean? Like if you if you really look at players, like actually start to break down the injuries, look at what shoes they wore, or look how long they wore shoes, like Grant Hill with the ankles, Fila. Those Filas were bricks. They were very heavy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you don't think that stuff matters, and sure, an extra $2 million is cool, but at the same time, if it's going to take 3 years off my career, or my career isn't going to be where I could have had it, sometimes take the cheaper deal to have a better product on you.
Right. Hey, secretly, is Peak one of the greatest shoe brands of all time? Tony Parker, Tim Duncan. It was part of the Spurs dynasty. I felt like everybody on that team was wearing Peaks.
Shoot, and
Peaks, bro. Peaks.
I gotta look at the injury reports. That's probably why he was getting so many peak rest days. Pop knew what he was doing. It was like, you get off your feet right now. These heavy ass shoes is not for you. This is not gonna work.
Come on, Manu. What type of European bullshit is this?
Oh my goodness. Karl Anthony Towns, after being out since late November, is returning to the Timberwolves lineup. Is this big news, or is he trying to set up a trade market? What do you think, George?
He is the most sexiest asset on the market if he hits the market. This gives me Anthony Davis a couple of years ago vibes, where it was like, whoa.
I could be available for the highest bidder.
Yeah, no, dude. And he, out of all players, he just brings in Minnesota, he was shadowed by the Ant-Man now. You know what I mean? Like, so very rarely does that happen, like where the rookie comes in and then overtakes what was already your franchise's stud.
Yeah.
And I think secretly Cat feels some type of way about that.
I mean, you'd understand why. But in today's game, like we just talked about, the big man isn't really featured. And if the big man isn't getting you across, over the hump, you know what I mean? Like, because Cat came into a situation where it was really supposed to be Andrew Wiggins' team. You know what I'm saying? That was who it was supposed to be. He was number one pick or number two pick, or whatever it was. And and so it's kind of,
if I'm not mistaken, his first years he actually had KG.
Oh yeah, well remember KG came back.
Yeah.
He came back on a owner tip. He was trying to own the Timberwolves, and that was the reason why he came back.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I didn't know that
was his long-term play.
Is Udonis Haslem doing the same thing with the Heat right now? He's like, if I'm just here long enough,
Mickey might give me something. Hey, he's already been a coach on the floor for years now. So we'll see. But I mean, I think when we had Fox Taylor in here, he was talking about the Timberwolves were his most disappointing team. And in the West is tough. If Karl-Anthony Towns came to the East to an Eastern team, I don't know where he would go. But if he did, I feel like he might get a little bit more love.
Yeah.
What I mean? Just in terms of what's out there.
I mean, I would hate to see him go to like somebody who's like absolutely trash. The Pistons, nah.
Because they just drafted, I feel like, didn't they just draft another big boy as well in last year's draft? Because they got Jaden Ivey, but then that trade, they made like a couple draft day trades, and I forget what like.
Oh, they got Bagley, but he's not a center.
He's
Jalen Duren.
He's 6'11". I think it's Jalen Duren.
Yep.
So
19 years old.
Yeah, and he's supposed to be something as well. So now you have Wiseman, you have Duren, and you have Bagley. You have three bigs now. One of them probably gonna have to go because Bagley's Mr. Glass.
True.
He's Anthony Davis Jr. without the productivity.
Yeah, no. So if he went to the East, I actually wouldn't mind like the Bulls.
Yeah,
that kind of makes sense to me.
The Bulls, quietly the Hornets. Yeah, I mean, like Jordan would love to bring him in if Jordan stays as the owner. Maybe the Hawks.
Yeah, the Hawks, and I love John Collins and all, but he does way more than he's like should be asked to do.
Yeah,
like he's pushed very hard in guarding not only the bigs, but then being responsible for all the boards, and then I
hate how they've done John Collins, because he was looking like he was about to like soar to another stratosphere in terms of being an all-star, and then like they started playing with that child's emotions and all these trade talks, and it's like you just paid him. So why are you going to trade him? Some things I'll never understand. A few big games in the NBA this week, starting off tonight with Golden State versus Dallas. Both these teams need to figure out who they are. Golden State, returning champs, they've got to really start to make a push, because they keep, winning a game, losing a game, and they got to really start to make a push. But on the flip side of that, the Mavericks, they got to figure out what they have with Luka and Kyrie. So, I don't know who I want to win this game, but they got to figure it out.
The Mavericks got a nice little Las Vegas stud product too, with Jalen Hardy.
Yes.
He's taking the world by storm. That's a good little role player for Dallas. But like you said, the Golden State Warriors, if they go back to the NBA Finals, people have already said dynasty, right? Like what solidifies it? I think even just going and losing is really putting their stamp that like this will forever be remembered in NBA history as like what could have started as a dynasty, fell apart in the middle, but then be rebuilt back up. So there's so much at stake for them legacy-wise, because if they start falling apart here, then I don't know.
Do you feel that they're not a dynasty now? Do you feel like they're not a dynasty?
So I do, and I feel a lot of people probably do, but I'm saying now for anybody on ESPN that can have a hot take saying that, they fell apart, once Curry started having bad injury luck, Clyd, their injuries staggered. It wasn't like everybody got injured at the same time. It was like one person would come back, next person would get injured. So
yeah,
this is also equally as much of a statement for Luka, because I see still an MVP watch.
I don't know because at some point you have to ascend your number. It can't just be numbers. You know what I mean? Like, because you putting up great numbers, but then your team losing at some point, then it looks like you're just number chasing, or you're just You know, like even if your usage is so big and it's like, well, obviously I have to do all this stuff. I don't know. I don't know if he is anymore, especially since Kyrie came and started sucking into points. You know what I mean? Like that starts to hurt your stat chase. But as far as the Warriors being a dynasty, I think they definitely are a dynasty. They had a chance to win 4 rings in 5 years. That was disgusting. And you know when they ended up losing to Kawhi, they've only lost 2 times in their run. They have 4 rings. You know what I mean? This would be going for a 5th, which would be, you know, right on par with Kobe. And these are the reasons why I say that LeBron isn't the GOAT. Like, how did you let a dynasty happen during your run? Like, after you won. You know what I mean? Like, Jordan, the reason I always say Jordan is Jordan, when he finally got the sauce, no one else won unless he wasn't playing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then the 1 year he was, again, like we said, on a baseball body. But, you know what I mean? When he won in 91, they won 3 straight. He took a baseball break. Hakeem got 1. He came back. The Orlando Magic, he came back to a Bulls team that didn't have a big. They lost Horace Grant, so they didn't have that guy. The Magic had Horace Grant, and they went to the finals. The Rockets, a bad Rockets team, ends up sweeping the Magic, so they go back-to-back. Then Jordan wins 3 more. He gets Dennis Rodman. They reset the roster. 3 more. Like, Patrick Ewing never won a ring. Reggie Miller never won a ring. Charles Barkley never won a ring. Like, Karl Malone, John Stockton, he ruined top 50 players' chances at rings. That's something that you can never take away from him. The only people that won, they were already in the league before he got there. They had teams set up by the time he got going. You know what I mean? You can't.
Right.
So anyway, I ain't mean to get on a LeBron Jordan kick.
Right.
But
Curry's better than LeBron.
hey,
dude,
there's something to be said.
That's another episode.
Yeah,
another episode.
That's definitely I mean, you can start to, you know, as much as people say no, that's crazy, and then you start peeling that onion back, and it's like it's definitely up for debate.
Yeah.
In terms of their runs, because remember, Steph didn't come in the league till like 2008. So LeBron had 5 years on him.
Yeah.
So his numbers, of course, are going to look different. And then also Curry's been hurt. So then that affects his numbers. You know?
Yeah. I mean, you can get it with the championships and, you know, like what he meant to the team, like as far as energy, character, being the leader, but still defensive liability will probably be like the number one.
That'll be the biggest bugaboo.
Yeah, it's like you can't put him on anybody and expect a stop.
Yeah. No. And as we saw in that game winner from Kyrie, they kept putting him in every switch. It was like, oh yeah, we are going to get this switch. You're not going to have Iguodala on Kyrie Irving. Like, we're going to get this switch.
Dude, it was like an Indian restaurant. They were just cooking curry. They were just cooking curry, baby.
Clip that, George. All right, so also tonight, Phoenix versus LA. Phoenix, I'm not sure if KD is. I know KD was in and out with injury again, but they've got to beat the Lakers because they have to start same thing. They have to start to stretch their legs again with this core is what's going to be happening in the playoffs. The Lakers, though, they've got to win because they're fighting for their playoff lives. So something's got to give.
And we're down to the last 10 games of the season, right? Like, so I'm seeing teams are at like 72 games right now. So we're here. It's a momentum type thing for me. Like the Celtics, they've been taking a little bit of a hiatus.
Celtics have.
Yeah. Well, a couple of weeks ago, like we experienced a lot of close losses that I'm like, all right, I'm glad we're getting these out of our system now.
Yeah.
Because if you're not hot when the playoffs start, so I used to feel that way. I kind of feel differently now with the way that the NBA really is only taken serious when it's playoff time.
Yes.
Like you'll see, I know it as a bettor, you'll see the over-unders go from 240 to like 200, 190.
175.
Yeah, no, dude. Those old school 2000s basketball games were 160. Right,
yeah.
Like, you know, the old Spurs and
I'll say what I will say. This is the reason why hockey and basketball are so different. In basketball, I'd say by and large, especially in the playoffs, the better team wins. or the higher seed tends to win out, just because of how they, how the league officiates, how like all of those kind of things. Hockey, you're 100% right. You want to be hot going in the playoffs, and that's the reason why I feel like the Bruins probably are going to mess around and lose, and they might even mess around and lose in the first round, because those teams that have been playing for their playoff lives for weeks, they're used to this energy. They don't have to ramp it up. Whereas in basketball,
bro, I love it. I love it because you start seeing defenses pulling out a little further past the 3-point line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, we care.
The
Every
defense
possession is so important.
Yeah, and I think even Fox Taylor said that you get more of an accurate read of where a team truly is. But yeah, you gotta, especially with the Suns. Okay, I need the Suns to play the Celtics because I like that matchup for us, and the finals. Yeah. But if the Suns don't find out early on, where does Kevin Durant fit into this? Dude, it's so tough because it takes teams months when they get a new player to understand the minutes, the shots per game. I would imagine all the sets are relative. Like once you're at that level, you know what the hell's happening.
And the other team knows your sets. It's down to execution. But again, we've talked about it. The fouls start to slow down a little bit. There aren't as many fast break opportunities because everyone is advanced scouting now. We all scout, but I'll tell you, the year that the first year that Jerome was on the Raptors were playing the Knicks in the first round. The Knicks had never lost at the Garden in the first round, and the Raptors beat them in 5. Basically, taking the Knicks out. And this is the Knicks right after they had gone to the finals in 99. So this was the Sprewell era and all that kind of stuff. Jerome came home with scouting tapes of Latrell Sprewell, like multiple tapes. And he would sit and watch the tape and, okay, he takes 2 dribbles left and then he's going to go into a spin. Okay, he does this. Like, it would show the moves. It would be like, this is his go-to move on the left side. Out of this set, this is his move. They don't do that during the regular season. Like, you do it, a little bit. You might do it as a team.
Right.
But you don't get tapes of, this is your matchup. How are you going to slow your matchup down?
Got it.
And, you know what I mean? Because I think Jerome had like 4 days off or something like that. So he came home. He was in Maryland. And so he was on the couch, like with me.
Yeah.
And so I was watching tape with him. You know what I mean? And so, like, just little stuff like that in the playoffs, it does switch. Like, that's one of the things that I love the most about the playoffs because every possession is so important.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to a lot of it. A lot of close matchups. People got to start taking it serious. What other games do we got coming up?
Also, before we get out of here, Phoenix plays Sacramento on Friday, and then also Milwaukee plays Denver on Friday. So that's another big game, cross conference game that I won't say it's a finals preview, but very well could be a finals preview.
Right.
So we'll see. Switching gears over to the NFL, Cam Newton performs at the Auburn Pro Day. Is this fair or foul?
This is, it's fair because it's a pro day and not a private workout like some of these other prima donnas. And he's throwing to his brother, so I'm like, so you can't say it's like super foul. But when I first saw the news, I immediately thought Colin Kaepernick, like seeing him throw at a tryout before the season starts every year.
Yeah.
And I hope this is Cam like saying, all right, this is me proving there's not 32 people better than me, right? Like how he stated. And I hope that after this year, though, it's not, okay, Cam Newton's at the Auburn Pro Day again. Throws another 30 passes. You know what I mean? Like, at a certain point in time, he's got to know my run's up.
There's 32 people better than you.
Or go dominate the XFL. The Vipers need a quarterback.
Man, that's fair, too. I think it's foul. And the reason I'll say it's foul is this. Auburn wasn't, all time this year. They had a rough
They've been bad for the past couple of years.
Yeah, they had a rough year. This isn't the coaching staff that coached him. So this is just my alma mater. And it takes the shine away from these children. Because Auburn, I don't know if they have a senior quarterback, but they very well could have had a senior quarterback. And this is his time to be in front of scouts and stuff like that. So to kind of run in on somebody on like, you've had your chance, you've made your money. Yeah. You know what I mean? That was when I saw it, I was like, come on, Cam.
Yeah.
Or maybe like, even if it was like you did it at the end or kind of something, maybe, but like.
Okay. When I saw 33 passes, I think about it logistically, like time-wise. Bro, that's like 20 minutes of you throwing the ball, right? Because you got to get everybody set up,
move
this route,
move around the field.
Yeah,
that ain't no quick. That's not no quick. Oh, I'm just here. I'm gonna do some push-ups. Like,
yeah, no, literally.
Oh man, Devin Singletary departs for the Texans, leaving the Bills on a 1-year, $3.75 million deal. First off, before I move on, these running back deals are god awful. Like, I feel horrible for some of these running backs, but the Bills turn right around and replace him in division, snatching up Patriots running back or former Patriots running back Damian Harris. Is this a big deal for the Bills?
Huge deal for the Bills. They finally have somebody. Damian Harris is nobody to like play around with.
No,
he's a very steady back. I'll touch just lastly on the running back contracts. We have to start really rethinking, and I think in the next couple of years you'll start to see it. Tight ends will get paid more, and running backs will get paid more, and receivers will get paid less because there's just more facets of the game that those people have to endure. Running backs are blocking. They're also running routes. They're also running the rock.
And they're running the ball. And they're getting tackled by behemoths.
Right.
Like, receivers aren't getting tackled by 300-pound dudes. Not usually.
Hey, and it's an open space, and these guys crumble, right? Like, these receivers don't get hit anymore. Like,
no.
If you watch the tackles, they're falling, you know what I mean? Or they're going off to the side. They're evading something. These running backs are getting it to the face. Same with tight ends. It's a disservice. And I think the teams that start prioritizing those positions a little bit more, remember, football is still won in the trenches.
1,000%.
And the closer you are to the football, the more you should get paid, in my opinion.
To your point about receivers, Tyler Lockett, have you seen those memes and gifs of him?
No.
Like, everything's a possession catch, like Madden. Like, everything he does is like. Like, Tyler Lockett is not running after the catch at all. If he touches the ball, he's going down right in that spot. Dude, and he's not gonna get hit.
He had 1,000 yards receiving, no yak.
No yak.
No yak at all.
No yak at all. That's too funny. Also, forgot to ask you last week, Mike Thomas coming back to your Saints. Mm-hmm. Your feelings?
We need him to perform at some sort of level. His contract is very backloaded. So when I've been looking at what the Saints could do with him, this is the year that, like, so I don't know if it was mentally like, okay, I'm going to get paid less these next 2 years, kind of replenish my body, get it healthy, and then let's just ball out for these next 2 years. But if we still don't really like where Mike Thomas is at, I want the Saints to get rid of him before we have to pay him like $20 million next year. I think like we would owe him $25 million next year.
Yeah,
we're only paying him $16 million this year, and that still makes me throw up when I think about it, because he doesn't block either, bro. Like, he's not. He's
really
some of these receivers,
big wide receiver like that. He doesn't block at all.
A lot of those deep route guys, they just don't. I don't know. They don't get in the mix with it. I like me a slot receiver like Debo. Makes sense to pay him a little bit. As crazy as it was, Julian Edelman would get in and mix it up with some linebackers.
Well, because Julian Edelman wasn't ever expected to be a big-time receiver. Mm-hmm. So that was his calling card. Like, I have to play this way.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I come in the league, like, yeah, I'm that guy, it's a lot easier for me to be like, ole. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Julian Edelman, he was a special teams guy. Punt returner, like, you know what I mean? He didn't care. He was just happy to be on the field.
Dog. That's how teams got to start prioritizing who they pay.
Definitely. A few of the best free agents available right now. Bobby Wagner, still a tackling machine, is out there on the free agent market. You'd be adding a veteran with championship experience and the last remaining member of LOB. What do you think about Bobby Wagner?
Bobby, I love you, and you were one of my idols growing up, but you got to hang it up.
Hang it all the way up? 100-plus tackles last year?
Yes. Yeah. No, dude. Okay, listen.
6 sacks?
Right, here's because I have this. I made this take earlier. All right. It is way too violent of a position. And my favorite linebacker of all time, Luke Kuechly, He hung it up at the right time, bro. Like
early.
Like when you, I mean, out of all positions where it's like this is the NFL's worst, like CTE rate. I mean, linebackers they go through it. He had a great season last year, and I'm not saying he can't do it over and over again for the next like 2-3 years, but that's a position where I'd like just to see it become more of a young man's position. Those older linebackers, dude.
Really?
It's like because I empathize with them because I know what they go through.
Yeah.
As far as the amount of contact.
Yeah.
Violent contact.
Yeah. No. Hellacious contact.
Yeah. So I wouldn't mind seeing him play a couple more years, but this is typically where I see really good linebackers, like ones that are a little like they're able to compartmentalize, their health over like their love of the game.
Yeah. I see.
That was tough. I learned a lot from Luke Kuechly on that. Like he really,
Well, think about it. A few like I'm trying to remember who is the so Patrick Willis was another one.
Yep. Navarro Bowman.
The Niners have had a couple because it was Patrick Willis, and then didn't they draft that white boy?
Yeah, that
and he like
and it was like
down?
after a year, right?
A year or two, yeah.
Yeah, so that like a linebacker who I love and is young and is going to play for the Bears, Tremaine Edmonds.
Yeah,
I think
I saw your clip.
Is a stud, dude. Like, and he's 20. He's going to be 25 this year. So like to me, I'm like, all right, he's still got some banging he can do
for sure.
I mean, you never just I see just so much of a love of a game when it comes to Bobby Wagner that he'll never hang it up. Similar to Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where like it means too much to him.
I loved Ray though. Ray was one of my favorites. DeAndre Hopkins is also available via trade. I still think he can be a force offensively, but what do you know what I mean? Where is he going? Who's throwing him the ball? I think we'll never really know how bad things were in Arizona. And so I have to hold that in account as well. Like maybe he didn't care because he like hated it there or didn't like Kyler. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think the relationship, this is, if I was to flash back in time and just be like, Deshaun, listen, if you're just a good human here and these ages like fucking 8 years ago, just stop doing what you're doing. You and DeAndre Hopkins will be the deadliest combo in the league. Because there was that year where he played for Houston, he didn't drop a pass. I remember I was like, didn't drop a pass.
Not one.
A pass.
On like 90 balls.
What do you mean, bro? So yeah, no, he wasn't utilized the way he should have been utilized. I mean, made iconic plays that still showed you he's a stud. I'll never forget the Hail Mary where Kyler throws the ball and touches the roof. He comes down with it,
Yeah.
And he's an all-around great human. You got to look into his story with his mom and everything.
Yes. Yeah. No,
all-around great guy.
1,000%. I was saving OBJ for Roe, so that's all right. We're going to talk about
more
OBJ.
about that.
Switching gears over to March Madness. Just a few of the Sweet 16 matchups. Michigan State versus Kansas State. I did not realize that the player from Kansas State was actually the player that was at Florida that had the heart situation. Yep. I saw that. I posted that today on the story and was like, oh, wow. So now I don't know. I always go Tom Izzo or the bigger coach in March Madness, but now I don't know. I'm not sure. Who do you have in this one?
After hearing the story, it's tough for me not to go with Kansas State. It's one of those stories where I regret not hearing it earlier because I would have hammered Kansas State on a future bet, like knowing he reminds me a little bit like tournament wise in the story, Steph Curry Davidson vibes, like where I'm like, not saying and Davidson was way worse than Kansas State was
for sure,
but
Steph was out there with future accountants.
Yeah. He never had to worry about getting a car from Enterprise. He was set, man.
Oh my God.
But yeah, no, Kansas State for me.
Okay.
UConn, Arkansas on the next
yes,
in Vegas. Are you going?
In Vegas. It's not looking like me and Ro are going. It was touch and go maybe, but yeah, probably not going.
Great matchups.
Yeah. Both matchups in Vegas, UConn and Arkansas, and then Gonzaga, UCLA, both for a chance to go to the Elite Eight. Both those are going to be some tough games. I will run with I'm going to run with UConn versus Arkansas. So that's taking down a big seed. And then I'm going to go with Gonzaga, again, going with the coach, versus UCLA. Even though UCLA is by far the better team and had the better season, Mark Few, it's hard to beat some of these really, really good coaches, man. And especially when they're not only a good coach, but a good tournament style coach. There's just something to be said about that. Florida Atlantic versus Tennessee. I think I'm gonna have to run with Tennessee on that one. Who you got?
Yeah, I definitely was watching that Florida Atlantic game closely because I had to put a money line parlay down on Farley Dickinson.
Okay.
I was like, dude, if Farley Dickinson would have won, I would have won a lot of money. So, like, needless to say. So I watched FAU play. They're a fast-paced team. So if anything in this game, I'm thinking the over. Okay. And I'm pretty sure it's going to hover around 140, but I'm not afraid. I'm not scared of 140 anymore.
You're not scared of it in college.
Yeah, no, especially with the way Florida Atlantic plays. It's exactly what I said earlier with they are seeing how many threes they can put up in a 40-minute game, and it's cool.
San Diego State versus Alabama. Miami versus Houston. I'm going to take Alabama versus San Diego State, and I'm going to run with Miami, continuing the ride over Houston.
Yeah, there was Fox Taylor hit me with Houston is the same team they were last year, so I am going to post that clip sometime today to prep people so that they don't pick Houston for tomorrow. I'm just following what a lot of people are saying. I've been so ice cold on picking these.
Really?
Dude.
It's too hard to pick college, man, especially when you start talking lines. Like when those lines are out of whack, I do not touch them this time of year because, I think we said it on Monday's show. There's players that are playing for their basketball lives. Like, this is it. I'm never going to touch another court. I'm never going to be able to play in front of a crowd again like this. So I'm giving it everything I have. There isn't anything left in the tank. I'm going to make sure this thing is on E when we get up out of here. So when you start trying to rationalize that, it goes above numbers where it's like, oh yeah, this team that.
Yeah.
Nah, man, there's still a human element in there. And that's the reason why we love March Madness. Overtimes and everything else.
Hey, the lid has been on the basket come free throw time. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Oh my God. I'm like, bro, if you make these free throws, you're back in this game. Clank, clank. It's turnover now. It was a turnover. Thanks.
Yes,
that meant nothing. Meant nothing. The final two matchups, Princeton versus Creighton, and Xavier versus Texas. Who you got in these two?
My grandpa used to teach at Creighton, and the Blue Jays, same thing, high-powered offense. They got what would you call a beige brother?
Yeah, that was the beige brother I was talking about on Monday. That was the beige one I was talking about.
Dropped like 30, right?
Yeah, yes, he did, versus Baylor.
So I got Creighton over the team that definitely won't miss any free throws, Princeton. As far as the Texas Xavier game goes, there's like this big hype made about them being an East Coast basketball team, but I see their name around, but I've never seen them crack through. Like, I don't think they've been to a Final Four and
I don't think they've been to Final Four, but they've been to the Elite Eight,
right?
They've made it to the next point. I think every time, I think you're right, because I feel like they've been a number one seed,
right,
and haven't made it. So.
Yeah, so I'm pulling for them. I definitely, same for like Gonzaga, where it's just like I want to see these teams that haven't, that Gonzaga's still looking to get over that hump. They haven't won one, right?
No, they've been to the championship now.
Correct. That was last year.
In the last 2 years. I don't think it was last.
With Drew
year.
Timme? No.
Yeah. Shoot, Drew Timme been there for 4 years.
I love that when players stay.
We think that he's 37, but he's only 22. Crazy. I'm gonna go with Princeton. I'm gonna ride the dog, ride that dog till he can't dog no more. And I think I'm gonna go with Texas. I think I'm gonna go with Texas in the Xavier matchup. Quickly getting through the last of March Madness. Rick Pitino comes home, joining St. John's. He is from New York. This is his hometown team. He's excited. Coming back. Georgetown stays in conference, adding Ed Cooley from Providence. This is the first time since 1972 that we've gone outside the John Thompson family. Wow. So, because it was Thompson for 30 years, and then it was Craig Eschrick, who was Jerome's assistant coach with Thompson. Craig wasn't it. And then it was JT3, and then it was Patrick Ewing. So it's been nothing but Thompson tree since 72, since my brother was a baby, since Johnny was a baby.
Wow.
So, yeah, so 51 years.
This will be exciting for that university.
We'll see. Well, I wanted Patino. If we would have gotten Patino,
then you would have.
I would have lost my stuff because I know we would have been. We would like.
He brings people, bro. He closes recruits,
bro. If we had Rick Pitino, even this is old Rick Pitino, we would be in the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8 next year. That's crazy.
Do you think St. John's will be?
Very well could. Yeah, very well could. You've got the Garden, like you. Yeah, I mean, like you can really, really like. He was telling a story in Louisville. So if you think I can't tell a story to a kid in New York saying you gonna play at the Garden, please. Also, the Jersey Jam round 2 starts today. Only gonna talk about one matchup from round of 64, and that was the old school Blazers jersey, which was actually put in there by Clyde Drexler's son, Adam Drexler, versus the 90s Duke Grant Hill jersey, Grant Hill Christian Laettner, which was put in by a friend of mine who's a coach. And he was like, I almost took down an NBA player's son. Like, it was literally 3 votes. And
wow.
and honestly, the Blazers caught him because Duke was up, and like he just kept working him down. And when I was posting everyone's, winner, everyone else had clearly won, or even if it was close,
right?
It was like, it ain't gonna change. That one, when I was posting, it was 1 off. Like literally, the Blazers were down by 1, so I was like, it's too close to call. We got to take this all the way through the end of the poll, and everybody was laughing. And yeah, he ended up catching him and overtaking him and winning by 3.
Man,
so. Shout out to everybody.
And shout out to you, too, for putting in the work back there for running that. I got you, Josh.
Man, it was a lot. I will say. These tournaments are not easy, all this scheduling. But I wanted to switch gears quickly over to Ladies March Madness. George is going to put up a clip of Haley Van Lith from Louisville. Got a little feisty after the end of their game versus Texas. I'll go ahead and let him roll the clip.
Tripping going on in the game. I think it was a pretty clean game. You know, I respect the Texas players. I don't really want to speak on what happened at the end because I don't want it to dim down the fact that we played really, really well. I have all the respect in the world for Texas. No hard feelings. You know, sports can get chippy and the moment you play in the heat. And at the end of the day, I'm going to let it go. You know, no hard feelings. I assume that they'll do the same. And, I'm just proud of our win. I don't want to focus on what happened at the end.
Hey, I love it when the ladies get feisty. Right? I just love it. It is what it is.
Spicy, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Especially little white girl. Go ahead, little white girl. You know what I'm saying?
She did not back down.
Not at all. Not at all. I'm going to be here. Go ahead and take that L. Take that L with you. Take that 22-point L with you. There it is. Before we get out of here, got to talk a little bit of WBC. Japan takes down the USA in the most epic fashion imaginable.
I did watch. My dad called me. That's how when it's a serious sports moment.
Okay.
My father will call me so we can enjoy it
together. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, he's a big baseball guy. So Otani-san. Versus Mike Trout.
Teammates.
Now, do you think they talk shit to each other?
Oh, 1,000%. And you know, especially with the language barrier, you can get away with a lot. Like, what does that mean? I don't know. Okay, all right. So one thing I will say about Japanese, right? Because I've, growing up, my best friend was Korean, and so I got to the point where I could hear certain languages, certain Asian languages, and the different sounds that they have. And I will say the Japanese man voice is like by far my favorite of any like Asian language.
Yes.
And it's like that is amazing. Like it's like you grunted and that was literally a full sentence. And it was the most gangster sentence. Like everyone in the room is trembling. He's like what was that? I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. That is by far my favorite language.
So Japan won.
Japan won 3-2. Slider on Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, teammates. Mike Trout was talking about he was touching 102 in the at bat into the game. Like that's insane, absolutely insane. But George also has a post from Twitter that I will simply say the internet will never lose. Imagine having that matchup and then you both get on a plane to go lose 90 games.
Trey Turner thoughts.
The fact that the Angels have two of the biggest generational talents of all time, not one, or not just they were good for a few years. Mike Trout has been a generational talent
since he entered.
And I think he's been to the playoffs like twice.
Yeah, dude. No. Everybody, the meme is Mike Trout books Philadelphia playoff game tickets before the Angel season starts. Because he's always at all the Eagles games in the box. So he gets them while they're cheap.
Yeah.
Before the season even starts. He said, hey, I know they're going to be in the playoffs. Let me lock up that suite. Like, Mr. Trout, aren't you going to be in the playoffs? No. I play for the Angels.
I'll be here. I'll be here when it matters. The MLB season starts next Saturday. What's the best part of baseball season for you, George?
So this season, I'm actually investing myself. I have not invested myself in the last 9 years, but I'm going to be the best way to invest myself is to literally put money down every single day. I'm going to try to hit as many Major League Baseball parlays as humanly possible.
You got to get with Jinx.
So that that's exactly
Jinx murders during baseball season. So
well, they every good sports bettor's like, oh, dude, it's so easy. That with as far as pitching matchups go and the way teams are playing and who's hot, you can get a really good understanding, especially in a season series, the vibe.
That's definitely fair.
So that's what I'm looking forward to.
That you're looking forward to making money. Okay, all right.
Always.
You took that a different direction.
No, go talk about the fresh grass and
yes. Jesus. I will say my favorite part of any baseball season is when the ivy begins to grow at Wrigley Field.
Oh, okay.
Because
Iconic.
as a kid, I didn't realize that, beginning of the season, it sticks in the outfield. Those dudes are making business decisions up against that wall because it's literally sticks and roots. You will be cut up to death, and you probably still will be with the green ivy, but beginning of the season, it's all bad. So that's always my favorite part of the season. The ivy's starting to grow in there. Starting to grow in. And then lastly, before we get out, Bryce Harper is not being put on the 60-day IL from the Phillies. I did not even realize that he had reconstructive elbow surgery, so he wasn't even expected back until All-Star weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, I did not know that. So
Damn.
So that's pretty big news. I didn't realize that he's the biggest part of the Phillies. So
yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm a huge Bryce Harper fan, and I think this is his first real big injury that he's had in his career.
He's had a few. He's had some surgeries because when he was with the Nationals, he had some injuries.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't think anything that spanned the beginning of a season. It usually would happen in season. He'd be down for about 3 months or something like that. Slide into home and get hurt, or I feel like he's had some concussions too. But yeah, that's definitely a big deal. That's a big deal.
He's one of the very few players in the league that I'm like, can we touch the home run record in a season? I feel like he's one of those people, and now obviously it's not going to happen this season. But there's only select company that I feel could do that. I feel like Fernando Tatis is probably in that category. Aaron Judge,
obviously, yeah.
He was close last year, right?
Yeah, he got to 62.
And the record
63, I think.
70 something?
Shoot, I think Barry Bonds I think got it to 72 or 73. You got it? You back there looking? I think because Mark McGwire was 70. So I think Bonds got to 73.
73.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I thought
70,
it was a couple
70 by Mark and 66 by Sammy Sosa.
Sammy Sosa. Yep. Oh. Well, we've come to the end of the show. I just want to thank you guys again for tuning in. Continue to like, share, subscribe. Smash that subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube, and if you're watching this on any other platform, I just want to thank you guys. Continue to feed me content, feed me different things, and tell me what you want to see. We're going to, as you saw on Monday's episode, we're going to start to bring you guys on air. I think that's something that we're going to start to do as well a little bit more as we move forward. So keep tuning in. So from Josh Williams to the front row that is not here, and then also George in the back. I just want to say thanks again. See you guys next time.
Fan, short for fanatic, is the one who's screaming their lungs out in sub-zero degree temperatures, still believing when the chips are down, and never, ever giving up on their teams or their players. From the closest seat to the worst one, we want to meet you all. This is the American Fan.